Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, for joining us. I'm so super excited to be interviewing MICHAEL Kostroff, who is an amazing performer, has over 90 credits, 5 seasons on The Wire. He played Robert De Niro's brother in a movie where Robert De Niro played Bernie Madoff. He was in The Good Wife, Molly's Game, the touring company of The Producers, and Les Mis. Oh my God, like you're living the dream. He goes so easily between comedy and drama and between stage and screen, and he's directed and he's coached and he's taught fabulous. He's taught this fabulous program about Audition Psych 101, which we'll talk about a bit tonight. And you've written what, 4 books now?
The 4th is coming out in May.
Oh my God, what's the 4th one?
The 4th one is the Stage Actor's Handbook. I discovered, to my shock, that there isn't a Stage Actor's Handbook. And
oh my God.
There are all these sort of rules about the way we work with each other and the terminology and the certain rules, like an actor can't give another actor a note, you know. Yeah. How do you learn that? How do you learn that? So I put it all down in a book, and it's coming out in May. Jeff Daniels wrote the foreword. It's very fancy.
Oh my God. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, I'm looking forward to that one as well. I just read Audition Psych 101. Holy, it is so fantastic. I so wish I had found you sooner, but you know, this is the time I found you, and I'm so grateful for you. And it's a great primer. I'm so excited to take your course now. Like, I am so excited. So thank you so much for doing this work. It's like really important work, as you know. Somehow in my 30 years as a script supervisor, I never got to work with you.
Isn't that weird? That's very strange. Yeah. So
you would have been so perfect on Suits.
It's probably the two of us would have been too much talent for one set. I think that's the problem.
You worked with Dave Constabile, right? Like, he was on Suits with us.
Love him. He's a great guy.
He's so funny. So yeah, I could picture you in that, anyway, in that loop. So, and where are you right now? Are you allowed to say what you're working on?
I absolutely am. I'm at the Residence Inn in New York City. I am in rehearsals for Clue, the play, which we did it at the Cleveland Playhouse. It broke every box office record for the entire history of the theater. So the Paper Mill Playhouse, which is known for sending things to Broadway, they're like, we're doing Clue. So we're doing it at Paper Mill. It's very exciting, and it's a cast full of I say this in the most flattering way. It's a cast full of idiots. We're just all stupid, funny idiots. Yeah.
The best. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know that I'm just going to get right into the questions because I want to leave time for questions.
Oh yeah. I like questions. Yes.
So I know you're constantly saying you're a blue collar actor working in the trenches, like, despite the fact that you're living the dream, you have so many credits. But you have this incredibly sage advice, and you say that that you teach this stuff because you were once terrible at auditioning. Yeah. So was there like an aha moment? Was there like a turning point or a moment where you saw the light and everything happened, or did it happen slowly?
No, it happened without me realizing it. I mean, you know, it's funny because some people see me as fancy, and I don't feel fancy. I always say I feel like a potato, you know, just a boring potato. But part of that is because I didn't really start working with any regularity until I was in my late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, you know, and so my career started very late. So I guess that's why I have a certain amount of humility about it, because it's like, you know, I'm lucky to have found myself. But I was dreadful at this. I had, you know, listen, I'm always very open about this because I think people need to hear this. I had terrible self-esteem, terrible shyness, really great anxiety about presenting myself. So, you know, auditioning didn't come naturally. And I guess, you know, I have sort of a very analytical brain. So over the years, I started to sort of pick apart and ask myself, what are the little pockets where I'm getting flipped out and it doesn't make sense? And I guess I pulled it apart because years and years later, a friend of mine who's a teacher said, you got to teach this stuff. And I said, what? I had no idea. She said, you idiot. She said, every time I have an audition, you tell me something that makes me go, oh. And I said, I do? She goes, yeah, teach it. So I discovered by accident that I really had a very important thing to teach and a very important opportunity. You know, I take this very sacredly, like the opportunity to provide the class that I wish was available when I was coming up. And to alleviate, it's not to say that auditioning doesn't ever make people nervous or whatever, but we do a lot of it to ourselves, and I can really unhook a lot of that for people. So yeah, that's my long-winded answer. It wasn't an aha moment. It just sort of evolved.
Oh my God. Did you, okay, this is, I teach courses to learn them. Did you find that you started doing that at the beginning? Like
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, no. Every time I teach my class, I'm reminding myself of things that I need to remember.
I love that. Yeah, it's so good.
That I fail I fail my own class on a regular basis. That's just how it is.
Wow, that's so hard to, that's amazing. Thank you for telling us that. I often tell people about, when I train directors, I tell them about all the insecurities directors have, because I think they need to hear that. But
yeah. Well, that's why I think people need to know that somebody like me, who, yes, you've seen on television, and yes, I've been in your living room, I deal with all this insecurity and feeling small and like an imposter and like everybody else. And I managed to have a career anyway.
It's very inspiring. Okay, yes, auditions really are, they're a huge beast for a lot of us. I know for me, I actually was actively auditioning about 15 years ago, and I really, oh my God, I so wish that I had your book at that time. But when I read this, I was like, well, maybe I wasn't ready for this back then. Like maybe when the student is ready, the master will appear. Because actually, literally, I kid you not, 2 weeks ago, I decided I'm going to go back into the audition world this year.
This is timely.
I'm 52. So, and then I heard about you in your book.
Oh, how great.
What I love was I was always really terrible at the business of the business, like so like awful. I've never even tried to have an agent. It's amazing that I got into the union and that I got parts at all. Never even tried to, and auditions just terrified. They bamboozled me. They terrified me, all of the above. And you really make this feel like, well, no, you bring your art into auditions. It's not business. It's art, and it sounds so much fun.
Well, also, here's one of the big discoveries for me is that all the stuff that we do where we try to calculate how to book a role are that's the enemy. That's the devil, because it takes all the fun out of it. It's a puzzle we can't solve, and we keep doing it. We're like, how am I going to book this? How am I going to? We don't know. I book things that I'm like, I have no clue why they picked me for this. I think they made a terrible mistake, and I feel like if we just surrender to the unpredictability of it and let it be fun again, and just go, well, I have an audition today. That's all I know about, it just makes it so much more fun.
Okay, because I know you've obviously helped yourself, but with this stuff, and you've obviously helped thousands of people who've taken your course, because you've taught it for so many years. Do you have any favorite stories of students whose lives you've changed with this process?
God, so many. I'm going to answer your question a different way. Okay. One of the things that has never stopped being gratifying and humbling is the vast number of responses, honestly, from people all over the country. And I want to hasten to add this. It's not that people say, oh my God, my career turned around and now I'm booking everything. That's not the point. Mm-hmm. They go, I had a good time at an audition. I enjoyed myself. I'm like, that's the gold. That right there is the gold. Because most of the time, as you know from reading my book, I remind people, most of the time the audition is the end of the journey. So instead of waiting for it to be something else, I want people to have a good time. And when they say, man, I was relaxed, I had fun, I played the part, I don't care if I get it or not, to me, that's the zone. So those are the favorite ones that I've, I particularly like the person who said, your words are like a chiropractor for your brain. I was like, oh, I can't take that. That's great. That's great. Yeah. That
is great. Oh my God. Brain chiropractor. That's a t-shirt. You got it.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
So I also had started acting in my mid-30s, and then I stopped for a bit and I just dove deep into my script career. But I look back and I was in this state where, as I'm sure, a lot of late bloomers are in, where I really cared way too much about what people thought of things that didn't matter, like the way I looked or how old I was, or it took me a really, really, really long time in the industry to figure out that really none of that really matters. It's got nothing to do with the work. A casting director once told me I was a fat cow. I was 70 pounds lighter than I am now. It really hurt. It stung for months. It really made me unable. They can't do that. I don't think they would get away with that today, but yeah, back then.
I mean, yeah. I have so much, God, that's just like making me think of 17 things I want to say about that. But yeah, go on.
Oh no, I
Well,
was
it's just to me, part of the, I'm going to call it the disease, is that actors take it. We live in this weird fear of people, fear of just sort of the vague sense that we might offend or say something wrong, or, and I've really started to say, well, okay, what happens if that happens? What happens? Why am I so afraid of somebody who, like me, wakes up in the morning, goes to the bathroom, eats a meal, and and I think by really refusing to buy into that and say things like, no, I don't really like the way you're speaking to me. You know what? Let's just cancel this audition and you have a terrific day, or say, are you aware that you're yelling? Because that's really not appropriate. And taking up that space, I think is, anyway, I don't know if that was the intention of your question, but I mean, I feel I get so protective about actors because we cast ourselves as these little beggar people.
right.
And we're these wonderful, magical creatures who take somebody else's words and make it sound like we said them. And it's like, it's a magic trick. So anyway, I get a little bit, I get a little sad because I've done it so many times that we let people demean us and make us feel small.
Yes. I just feel like there's these extra layers for women and people of color. There's been all these things said to us over the years about casting that I just wondered if there's any like extra super. I think your methodology would work on also all of that, but it's an extra layer of oh my God, like it's awful. The things.
No, listen, I will 100% as a feminist, and and very into racial issues. I will echo what you said 1,000%. It is easier for white men in every sense of the word, but I think a lot of us too feel small and tiny and not interesting. And I recently busted myself on something I was doing, which is in the middle of a take, while filming, while employed, thinking, oh, I bet that other actor doesn't think I'm very good. And I bet they think I'm taking too long in this pause. That's my new goal, is to shut that down. Anyway, but go on. I feel like I sidelined your question.
Yeah, I just wondered, like, I just really wanted to know if, I mean, you've probably heard a billion stories from your female students, especially about weight, about age.
Yes.
I had a really famous person tell me his wife was mixed race and she had to quit the business in the 90s because she was told over and over and over and over again, there's no parts for you. It's very heartbreaking stuff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, also, Black actors deal a lot with people trying to teach them how to tell them what it means to act Black. I mean, it's just completely awful, and demeaning. And I don't know. I want every person to sort of take back some of the dignity to say,
yes, I love that about your book. Oh my God, that was so massive for me in your book when you talk about the dignity of the performer and Richard Dreyfuss's quote. I got to work with Richard. Yeah. He is a very smart man. But the dignity that was massive. I mean, we all should at least read your book, but definitely take your class for that. Like, that was so empowering. Did you find that once you shifted your mindset to that dignity mindset, maintaining your dignity as an actor in the audition and all the way through, that people stopped messing with you, or did you still encounter situations?
Let me think about that. I don't think that people messed with me as much as, again, being a white guy. Let's just be honest. I think that I imagined more, like I thought, oh, the way she's looking at me, she looks like she hates me. I do think we also make up a lot of what we think is somebody disliking us or being mean to us, or, so I think I didn't experience as much of that except in my own mind. But also true that since I've sort of bought into my own dignity as an artist, I find that people sort of pick up on that, and they don't talk to me like a little kid who just broke in the back door and shouldn't be there. I used to say I always felt like it was bring your kid to work day, and I was dressing up like a professional actor and I didn't really belong there.
Oh, I loved that story you told about someone doing that to Jason Alexander.
Yes, I know.
Cray. And I also really loved in your book how you encourage people to be on the other side of the table as, you know, readers or directors, right? Because then you get to really, really, really see the reasons.
It's such a revelation, and I've worked as a reader and as a director, and it's really revealing. First of all, how little of the craziness in our heads is necessary, how much of it we can really let go. And also the fact that when you don't get picked for a role, it's not a failure, you just didn't get picked. That's very different. And it's also the most normal outcome from an audition is not getting picked. So we can't put ourselves through drama every time we don't get picked. That's like exhausting.
Yeah,
you know?
that would be mentally exhausting.
But a lot of actors do. We go, what did I do wrong? I must have done something wrong, you know?
I was working on this movie of the week, and this was shocking to me. The cast was so tight; they were working together so well. And I said to the director, "Oh, because it was a quick movie of the week. Like, how did you find this cast?" And he's like, "Oh, they're all in my AA group in LA."
Oh, yeah. He's probably not supposed to say that, but you know.
But what was funny was, like, obviously, like, hundreds of Canadian actors probably auditioned for all those roles because that's the union rules, and they were never going to get it anyway. They weren't in that.
Oh yeah.
We have no control over that. We just have no control. So
100% true.
So it's so liberating when you say, don't try to get the job because you're not going to get it anyway.
No, we're not. That's the wrong goal. That's the wrong goal. You know, I realize, like, what's our area of expertise? We're good at taking a script, figuring out what's going on, relating to the character, replicating human behavior. So that's what we do well. And I want to stay in the zone of what I do well. What I don't do well is getting a job, guessing what somebody else wants. You know, I'm not psychic. There's, you know, a lot of these jobs that we give ourselves, like, you know, I always say, get out of the casting business. I'm not in casting. Somebody else has to decide if I'm the right one for the part. I don't have to do any of that. You know, it's a lot easier.
And thank goodness, that's actually a hard job.
Yeah, it's a hard job. Yeah.
Everyone else is telling them who to cast, and it's, as you know, it's sometimes not exactly the right people, but
yeah,
but you just got to grin.
True.
Oh, you've taught in Canada before, right? Where did you teach? I'm in Toronto right now.
I've taught in Vancouver quite a number of times. There's a theater company in there. The artistic director heard about my class. He thought, I'd like to take that. So he flew me out to teach it to a whole bunch of people. And we had like 300 people at that. Whenever I go to Vancouver, I have like 200 to 300 people come to the class.
Oh, yeah. We have a massive acting community there. So that's great. Also in Toronto, also in Montreal. Yeah. I mean, it really.
But you know, of course, now we're not doing the class live anymore because it's just not what we're doing, you know, but that's why I'm glad it's going to be available online, you know.
I've actually been amazed. I've been taking acting classes all these years, but I took my first online acting class. I usually fly down to New York. My teacher is John Strasberg, and had the best class ever, like the best class.
Line. Interesting. Yeah.
We couldn't figure out why. He's like, why are you doing such good work? I'm like, I don't know. I do not know what is different, other than I think I can really, you know, I really hear everything. I don't see the other people in class watching me. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but it's
very good for on-camera work because we're on camera, you know.
Right. Yeah, and he really is like a theater teacher, but maybe that's the difference, because you know, grew up on film sets pretty much. So okay, but this is the plight. If your Canadian students haven't told you, the plight of the Canadian actor, like I said, they'll bring in almost the whole cast. Sometimes they'll even fly in people to do one line, but you'll get one line. You'll usually get 1 to 5 lines, and it's often with like a big star. It's happened to me twice. I've had to do a role with an Oscar winner and an Oscar nominee. One line, and I found out later, because I asked the director, you know, they said you were going to get the job anyway unless you did something like insane at the audition, but we just know that you're comfortable with stars, and that you were right for the part. Okay, cool. But what if I was just going in cold for a one line where the director didn't know me at all? Do you have any advice for that process?
So I have to tell you, my answer might frustrate you. The small parts are so much harder than people realize. So much harder. I teach an entire class on that, but it's not it's not available yet. There's a whole class worth of stuff to talk about with that. But I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is, first of all, going, oh, it's only a few lines, I won't prep at all. Yeah. And not asking the actor questions. Again, we go to this, how do I book it? How do I do it right? How should I say it? And those are the wrong questions. I mean, as opposed to, well, you know, what am I doing? What, like I always say, if you're auditioning for a waiter, do you know what they want for lunch? No, I don't. Okay, go ask them. You know, but it's not what actors are trained for. We're not trained for roles with no stakes and no objectives, and it's not your story, and we're not trained for that. So it's very difficult. I'm going to tell you something that's premature that I wasn't going to announce yet, but since you asked about this, I will tell you. As you know, not until next week, but next week we're going to be opening registration for the online course of Audition Psych 101. I haven't really mentioned this at all publicly, but one of the bonuses is a webinar on this particular subject.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So I again, you know, this week, as you know, we're focused. I put out a free, you know, about the three part. I hope we're going to talk about that.
We will.
But yeah. Anyway, that's one of the bonuses with the online course is a webinar on 5 and unders, because there you are.
I didn't realize you were going to do bonuses. That's great. Okay.
Yeah,
well, wow. That's another thing I super need. Yeah, it is. I mean, sure, there are plenty of actors in Canada who play leading roles, but the vast majority of us, I'm sure it's probably similar in the US.
Oh yeah, yeah. And those roles are very, very, very challenging, and we don't give ourselves enough of a break with that. They're hard. They're hard. They just don't fit the model of what we've been taught to do. You know. So.
And because you go so fluidly between comedy and drama, do you have any advice for any shift in audition technique, or even psych technique?
Well, not in the psychology of auditioning, which I think, you know, stays the same for me. I've worked a lot with actors who don't think that they're funny, and I think some of the big revelations for them are that you can approach drama with the same commitment as comedy, same truthfulness, and what I found is really important in comedy is making a case for your character and not a judgment. In other words, if you're playing an asshole, you don't want to show, oh look, I know I'm playing an asshole. No, the asshole is not an asshole to himself. You know, comedy, this is an interesting thing to notice. It's rarely funny to the characters. Rarely funny. So we have to commit, you know, I look at it this way, you know, if your child dies and you grieve, that's drama. If your toast falls on the floor and you grieve, that's comedy. But it's the same grief. You know? And so we have to not judge that. We have to make a case for that level of grief about toast. And that, I mean, again, we could talk about this for a whole 4-week course, but I mean, I love comedy. But I think that's been one of the things that's particularly helpful to dramatic actors who think, oh, I don't know how to do comedy. You know, being truthful and committed, no matter how ridiculous the circumstances or statements are, is part of the deal.
Oh, this is, you know what, this is awesome, because I trained comedy writers and we do that. We're always starting from truth. We're committed to the truth. The reactions are heightened or whatever. You know, we don't even punch up till the very end of the process. So I love that this is the same from an actor perspective.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, again, I feel like I'm just like giving a little droplet of what we could talk about comedy wise, but yes. I mean, right now I'm working with a room full of comedy geniuses, and it's so much fun.
I used to love that as a script supervisor. I worked with one of my favorite directors, Paul Feig, and he said, I make script supervisors cry. And you know why? It's because, and he doesn't, he's the nicest man ever, but you know why? Because in comedy, you guys are always throwing out lines.
Of course.
And I was like, bring it. I love it. Bring them all.
I mean, I think the other thing is I always, maybe it's the wrong terminology. I always say I approach a script skeptically. Here's what I mean. That's a bad way to put it. What I mean is, when a character says, I'm sad, it doesn't necessarily mean they're sad. We have to vet that, because somebody might be saying they're sad to get just to get attention and not be sad at all, particularly in comedy, you know? I mean, so it's, I like to always go, wait, let's not make any assumptions yet. Let's talk about what we actually know and build from there. I always start my students on what I call the duh of the scene, meaning what can you absolutely prove in a court of law from what's on the page? Okay, this is my dad. Okay, that's definitely true. The rest, let's hang on a second and see if it's true. you know.
Wow. Oh my God. That's such a pragmatic and cool approach to script analysis. That's great. The duh.
Yeah. The duh. What's the duh? Because right away, I'll say to a student, well, what's the scene about? Well, I'm this bitch. And I'm like, wait, hang on. What happens in the scene? Oh, I go and try to get a latte at the Starbucks. Okay. And what happens? They don't have a latte. Okay, great. Let's start from there. You know?
Oh my God. Oh, this is great. I wish we did a whole show just about comedy, just because
Oh my God. Well, we can someday. We could just.
Oh, if you ever have time, because I know you're busy till Feb, like please, this is what I geek out about. So, but that would be beautiful. I ask every single actor at your level and even below at this question: what would you be doing if you weren't acting right now?
It's really, really hard to answer that. I give several choices.
Mhm.
I love theatrical set design. That would be fascinating to me. I could really see being a therapist. Um, I don't know, something, you know, I'm going to get deep for a minute. More and more, I have a real passion for getting people together and talking who are not currently talking in our country.
Oh,
So if I could do some kind of mediation that would have, people on the left and right and of various ideologies talking to each other, that's the job I'd be doing right now for sure.
you are doing that job as an actor.
In some ways I am, yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, that could have been my life's work because I'm passionate about it. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so my favorite answer to that question ever was, because I forget most people's answers, but Don Cheadle said, I'd be doing a lot of drugs. And I get that, right? Like that our drug is like being in that zone, right? I think.
I would not feel like my normal self if I wasn't doing this. That's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, let us talk about your program. Well, first of all, we need to say you're doing this series of 3 free talks, audition myths. What is it? A myth?
I can tell you.
Yeah.
Audition myths, tough truths, and logic. So I'm putting this out for free. This is, I think I told you, this is like my life's work. I'm trying to demythologize and sort of dismantle some of the false thinking that we have. And by the way, I always want to add, I'm not a positive thinker or a magical thinker. I don't believe in any of that. I'm a logical thinker. So, taking apart some of the big myths that actors carry forward about auditioning, things that are absolutely not true, and talking some tough truths and things that we just have to sort of embrace. And the first two, let's see, the first one came out this Monday. That was audition myths, and then just yesterday we dropped tough truths, and tomorrow we're dropping logic. I want to add that. If people will go check those out, you could still go back and look at the first two. They'll be up for the rest of the week. And I
posted a link right underneath. So under this video, just underneath, I posted a link where you can go right away if you haven't already and sign up. And then you'll also be talking about your course, right?
Yeah, we're doing these free videos, and at the end of it, I'm gonna there'll be an offer if people want to sign up for the Audition Psych 101 course. We're doing it at a much lower rate and with bonuses and all kinds of things like that. There's a little registration period, but we'll talk about that when it's open. But right now, take the freebie. Don't turn down.
Yeah, it's great.
My thing is this, if something valuable you can get for free, get it. That's the main thing, And I'm delighted for people to watch and enjoy those 3 videos, whether or not they sign up for my course. That's not the point,
Yeah. No, you've changed people's lives already just with your book, but like your book has made me super excited to take your course, I have to say. All right. Are we ready to take questions from the floor?
I can't wait.
Let's see. Okay. Wow. There seems to be a lot. Hi, Aria. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Alejandro. Gino. Hi, Gino. Lila. Hi. Hello. Everyone's just saying hello right now. Thank you for existing, says Brandon. I don't know Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon.
Oh, Rob Trick, who's a big comedian in Canada. For a long time, I just worked on getting to the audition.
Yeah. Listen, oh my God, baby steps. Good for you, Rob. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Dana says, what a fabulously honest interview and great energy of the banter between the two of you. Melissa, when you said some actors of color are told how to act Black or sound Black, I felt heard and seen.
Well, I have I'm going to say the great honor and privilege and advantage of having grown up in New York City, going to New York public schools where whites were the minority, which has really informed my particular view of things. And, you know, and I have lots of talks with my friends who are actors who are Black, and it's an endless, oh my God, it's endless. Yeah, but it's surprising that it still goes on. And now there are euphemisms, you know, it's like, oh, make it more urban, more sassy, more street. It's like, you know, why?
I had a great, okay, I used to work on Soul Food, the series, and it was, I was probably the only, no, there were a couple of white people, but our boss was amazing, Felicia Henderson. Have you ever worked on one of her shows? But Felicia used to come on set and say, no blacking on my show.
No blacking, yeah.
Because, you know, the people were so like told to act a certain way. She's like, no, this is real. Just be real. You know,
the same as the idea that like gay characters have to be effeminate.
Had to be fabulous. Yes, not that there's anything wrong with being fabulous, but you don't have to be just that way.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Daniela, I don't see the link for Michael's free course. It's just under, so it's under the video. I posted it separately from the video because I'm technically unsavvy, but then I will also post it right after we get off the
sure
live.
It's there, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's there. No, I posted it in the post underneath this video in the group.
You can also read it out if you want to. I don't know what your link is.
It's a very long link.
Oh, okay.
I don't have one of those conversions, so it's very long, but it's okay. I will repost it. Thank you for that, Dana.
I just want to add that one of my little quirks whenever I go out of town for a job is that I buy a cheap, ugly mug, and I just arrived today, and I'm really enjoying that. I have this, like, I don't know why. Every time I go away to do theater, I like have to get like a $7, the ugliest, weirdest mug I can find. So that's what I'm enjoying right now.
That's amazing. Are you drinking coffee?
Tea.
Okay. I was like, oh, you're more hardcore than I am. I don't see any. Are there any other questions that we have? Alain, we have
no questions. Have we answered everything there could possibly be to know about show business?
We've got like 10 people here, and I just think they're riveted. And yes, they're just thanking you for existing. And oh, Rob, hi Rob. Oh my God, that's so funny. I was wondering about the mug. Rob is one of my comedy writers. Aria, obviously the audition scene was quite different when you were starting out, but how did you find auditions when you were first starting out? How did you
find them?
How did you find them?
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I'm just being honest. I spent most of my early years as an actor without an agent, without access to auditions. I mean, no, back then I would read Backstage and go to open calls where we would wait online, you know, for hours and hours. And then I just basically didn't work. I only booked a couple of plays where I didn't get paid. And I worked as a waiter, and I mostly didn't find auditions. And maybe in my 30s, I started to get some auditions, you know, I mean, on professional level, for professional level stuff. So yeah, it was, I think the answer is I just didn't.
We totally skipped. I wanted to ask you about self-tape because that's our new reality. Yeah. And I loved in your book about walking in the room, the part about walking in the room, like you're taking care of them. Have you replaced that with anything since we don't walk in a room anymore in self-tape?
You know, the idea of taking care of the people on the other side is still applicable. And again, people say, well, how do you do that? It's more of like knowing that that's your job, part of your job, and part of your obligation is to put them at ease. And I like to imagine the casting director, Harry, trying to put together things and dealing with all the calls from the producer and the director. People want different things. And to come with an attitude that will calm him or her down and make their day easier. I hope that comes through, especially in our slate. I want to say something about the slate that is real estate that should not be wasted. People often do what I call the hostage slate, which is they're making me do this. They're making me say that if you'll send $10,000 ransom, they'll release me. That's what their slate looks like, you know. And I try to project the idea of my slate of like, it's me, it's you, here we are. Relax, I'm going to do my thing, enjoy. And I try to put them at ease. And yeah, you know, as I keep saying, the thing about the self-tapes is this: you can like them, you can not like them. Neither attitude is going to change the fact that that's what we're doing. So your life will be a lot easier if you find a way to embrace it.
Great. Oh, Leila says, oh, we have questions. I know Daniela mentioned acting again, and I've been thinking about that as well. So for people who may have acted previously, then took out other roles in the industry, what would you suggest for venturing back into auditioning?
I live by low expectations. I've found that that is a lot easier on my soul. If you're coming back, presumably you love acting. So whatever opportunities come up, whatever you can do, whatever's available to you, rather than stressing over what's not available to you, go, oh, well, I can do this, I can do that. This is available, and really relishing that. I think we tend to look way too much to the future, and who the hell knows what's in the future. So I feel like I can imagine coming back and just having joy about the fact that you chose to put that name tag on again and rejoin the club, and calling that good, and just seeing where that goes, seeing where that raft takes you,
Yeah, I feel like it's so weird. I don't know if it's age or just experience now, but it's like my give a damn's busted. I really don't get, I just want to play. I just want to play.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a much less stressful way to go about this, and much more fun. I really, every time these words come out of my mouth, it's still like, what? But I love auditioning now. I love it. I enjoy it every time. Every time I enjoy it. I have a great time. And I was not that guy. So, it can be done. That's the good news that I'm trying to tell people, is that it doesn't have to be an unhappy experience. It's one of the things I talk about in the first of the 3 videos. There's this mythology that auditioning by its very nature has to be miserable, and it's not true. It's not true. So I hope people will go back and watch those the first 2 videos, as well as the one coming out tomorrow, because they're these are these are field tested ideas. They're coming to you from somebody who's out in the trenches, still auditioning, still finding my way along in the career path, and so it's not some college professor or casting director. It's somebody who's a fellow actor.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of that. Casting directors, you pay them to
Yeah. Yes.
get in front of them.
Not a fan.
No, me either. Leela, love the idea of low expectations and just having joy about rejoining the acting auditioning club. That's great.
Love it. Good.
Any other questions? I'm
We're
sure.
shy viewers, because we're both very intimidating. That's what it is.
Yes, it's interesting. Well, I mean, this is probably the highest attended live I've ever had.
Well, I'm flattered. What else can I tell you? I mean, the flood of responses to these videos has also been amazing. And what I like is that people are, after every video, people have sent in questions, and I'm answering on the next video, or at least answering as many as I can. But I'm also answering. I'm committed to answering every person who writes and posts under the videos, because I just want to make sure I'm being of service as much as I can. But which is, I have to tell you, this week has been a lot. Returning to New York, my first week of rehearsal, and especially having not done theater since the shutdown back,
oh my God, that's right.
whatever year that was.
Yeah.
So it's that, and then doing this free series this week, and it's a hell of a week, but I'm loving it. Nothing I'd rather be doing than the things I'm doing.
Yeah, you listen, I'm right there with you. That was me last week. I had an offer close on one of my big courses, and I was up, I was like, what other video? I was making up videos like as the week went along.
Yeah.
Want to make sure everyone who needs to see this sees this. Oh, Natasha. Hello, Natasha. Oh, wait, we've got a few more. Rob Trick, what I learned is that eventually casting has nothing to do with you. There are too many other factors, correct?
And also to get a mug like this.
And also to get a mug like that. The job in question that taught me that was a field of dreams like job. Actors had slicked back hair and a modern protagonist. They cast a red-headed man because you could see him among the other actors. Losing a job is not a failure. There might just be other factors. Becoming a photographer also helped me with that. Ironically, I booked a lot more acting gigs after that. That's cool.
That's not surprising. Yeah.
Natasha, hi, Michael and Daniela. Michael, any advice for dealing with the fear of forgetting your lines? You have a good one for this, I think. This is crippling for me sometimes and has often sucked the joy out of auditioning for me. Thanks so much, and love the hideous flamingo mug.
I'm so glad. You're the first people to see this. It's like, it's the best horrible mug ever, I'm such a geek. I am so glad you asked this about forgetting lines. I'm so glad you asked this. This is one of the things that our dear sweet actor tribe has elevated to a level of such horror, such unnecessary horror. And one of the things that I think causes us to forget the lines is the horror. I think that this feeling that you get kicked out of show business. That's the end of it for you. That's it. And what's the name of the questioner I want to address?
It's Natasha.
Natasha.
Yeah.
Natasha, I want you to walk yourself through this exercise that I love, which is called "And Then What?" So what happens if you forget your line? What happens as a result? This is one of the ways that I sort of massaged myself through my fears and my anxieties, was to sort of go, okay, let's walk through the worst case scenario, And what I found, and I know that you can confirm this, Daniela, is that, people forget lines all the time on set. You know what nobody ever does? Hits them, fires them, yells at them, screams at them, or tells them they're unprofessional or that they've got no right being in the business. People, and this is the other thing I want you to note. Many times a shot will be interrupted by a cameraman going, "We missed the turn, we got to go back." Yeah. or I see a boom in the shot. It's not a thing. I have asked, I can't tell you, Natasha, how many casting directors I've asked directly, what is it like for you? What's the experience like for you when an actor blows a line? And not most, 100% of them have gotten this face. They're like, what do you mean? It's not a big deal. I mean, I'm every single one of them. They're like, what are you talking about? We don't care. We don't want to just see the work, So the one thing I will say about this, if and when you blow a line, and you will, the thing to not do is fall apart into a puddle of apology, and excuses. Just reset. I learned this working with Glenn Close. When she blows a line on set, she doesn't go, "Guys, sorry, I knew this morning, blah, blah, blah." No, she says the line, she says it wrong, or she forgets the word, puts her head down. Cameras are still rolling. She resets herself, and then she says the line. Look at that. No blood was spilled. No equipment was destroyed.
The magic of editing. Yes, as a script.
Here's the thing is, I'm going to repeat this only because it's something that I get asked all the time. The disaster part of forgetting your line is on our side. We made it up.
Yes, right.
It's mythological. We made it up.
I have to say, I've worked with a range of actors in terms of their ability to learn lines, and big names you see on TV. I won't tell you who it is, but there's a very big actor you've seen on TV for years. And especially in the first 2 seasons of a show I did with him, I literally had to sit by the camera and feed him a few words at a time. You cannot tell on the screen, and nobody gave a shit because it was awesome. The other actors were like, wow. Yeah. It really cuts together beautifully because he was nailing his performance. That's all, that's all that matters.
I mean, this is not to say that we should paraphrase or become writers.
No. Yeah.
Don't go, "Oh, well, I figured out a better way to say it." That's not the point. But Natasha, I know that's not what you're talking about. But I hope that you will take these words from me as I'm an experienced working actor, and I hope you will really take this to heart and reframe this as not such a big deal, because that's the truth of it. It's not such a big deal.
Absolutely. And Natasha, the crew will make all kinds of accommodations for you. No one's ever gonna judge you for it. There's so many accommodations your crew, your director, your fellow cast will make, if not only with learning lines, with whatever. We'll work it out.
Casting session. And the same in the casting session. They're like, "No worries, we'll do it again." I mean, and you don't have to apologize. That just exhausts people. You don't have to do any of that.
Rob Watts, one of my comedy writers. Do you set goals when acting and auditions are so unpredictable? What sort of benchmarks do you use to stay focused?
Oh, I think I need clarification from you, Rob. Do you mean like goals for that particular audition, or goals for career, or?
I think he means for the audition. I'm pretty sure he's saying, what if you're not trying to get the job, then what are you doing? What is your goal when you go into?
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, my goal has gotten so much simpler. and I'm gonna say something. So it's so obvious, but I have to remind myself, which is I'm not applying for a job. I'm trying to explain to my wife where I was last night. I'm trying to explain to my patient what steps I think they need to take. I'm trying to find out if the person I'm speaking to is an alien or not, or I'm trying to explain to the parents that we had to suspend your child. When I do that job and fuck everything else, I just do much better work. So I generally speaking, I'm going to answer it the various ways he might have meant it. I don't tend to set career goals. There are some things I still want to achieve, but it's been so full of surprises that I kind of am like, well, okay, let's see what happens. But I am going to suggest for those who have audition nerves to set little tiny goals, like when I leave. Well, now we're not going into the room so much anymore. Set goals like, I am going to do no more than 10 takes. I'm not going to do 30 takes if you're one of those people. Or I am going to not try to do the performance that I think they want. I'm going to do the performance that I like. Little goals like that. I used to say, when you go in the room, try to remember what color eyes the person, the casting director had, because then you're focused and you're in the room, or what color the carpet was. So those little goals are actually very, very valuable because they're achievable. You feel good. You feel like, okay, good. I'm taking a forward step. That's all there's to it. Yeah.
That's great. Oh, there's now a whole bunch popping in. Hold on.
Of course.
Dana, I am shy, so my knees buckle each time I have to start anything on stage or on camera. So I wonder how you get over that uneasiness, or have suggestions on how actors can deal with this. Yeah,
and by the way, I just want to acknowledge it's a big challenge. It really is, and you should be very kind and gentle with yourself. It's an amazing thing. The calling of being an actor is an amazing thing. It's so powerful that even though your knees buckle and these various things, you still feel the need to do it. And that to me says you're in the tribe, like it or not. This might be overly simplistic, but I ask you to try it. Getting really dug in on the character's circumstances, the character's needs, the character's objectives, the character, and put aside doing well or any of that stuff. It really gets rid of nerves, because because if the character's not nervous, you just have to put it aside for the sake of the character. The character needs you to do blank, 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 blank. So I don't know if that will be of any help, but I think that it's more, I would guess, and this is a good thing to sort of walk yourself through. I would guess, again, it is more the fear of what if somebody sees, what if that happens, that you should sort of walk yourself through and see if maybe the result of that is not as dire as we think. Spencer Tracy had a hard time finding his mark, and so he made looking down part of his acting style. Sometimes our what we could consider flaws or shortcomings end up being part of our charm and part of what's interesting. The whole Bob Fosse style came out of the fact that he didn't have a good turnout. Like dancers want to have a good physical for their hips to turn out. He didn't have that. Now we have a whole different style of dancing.
Oh, that's cool.
Maybe your characters have knees that buckle.
Rob, are you going to hand wash the mug or put her in the dishwasher? Doesn't look like it's dishwasher safe, but gosh, it's so easy.
This is a hand washer. This is a hand
Plus,
washer.
you're in a hotel. Where is he going to get a dishwasher?
No, it's a Residence Inn, so I have a sink and a whole kitchen. Yeah, I appreciate the concern.
Back to Melissa in
Bob
Montreal.
gets it. Bob gets the mug. Yeah.
Melissa, what are your suggestions for staying motivated when you feel you've hit the glass ceiling, so to speak?
Let me think on this. Yes. No, it's a great question. Did you have something else? Sorry.
No. I was going to ask her to clarify, but I think you know what she means, I guess.
No, I mean, the glass ceiling can mean a lot of things, but I think that she might be talking about the glass ceiling for women, because it's just like there's not enough roles always, But also there's a feeling of hitting a dead end in your career, which happens to a lot of people. You know, I will just tell you that a lot of my teaching tends to be counterintuitive, but bear with me because it ends up coming out happy the other end. You know, I used to make a real practice of just mentally quitting the business several times a year, because it reminded me that I have agency and that I can, and then I would end up choosing it again and signing on for it. It's what I call renewing your contract and going, okay, if this is how it is, if there is a glass ceiling, do I still want to do it anyway? Because I do know that complaining about it is not going to change it. Can I make a case for doing it anyway? And so many actors will say, I just have to. I have to, for whatever little parts I can get, for whatever I can do. And so I think the staying motivated comes from choosing it again, and also recognizing you have the freedom to not choose it again, because I know people who've moved on from acting and been very happy. But if right now you're listening to my voice and going, no, and you're offended by the idea, that's great. That means you want to re-up your contract. You will not be able to change the business. That's the tough love I want to give you. The business changes slowly and in small increments, and not ever enough for your liking. But it doesn't mean there are no opportunities. It doesn't mean that there aren't joys to be found. And I feel like, you know, I often hear actors, like right now I'm working on a play, and I hear actors who are working on a play worrying about what they might be missing on TV and film. Like, people have said to me, well, what about your TV career? I'm like, I'm doing a play. Whatever you're doing, you're going to be missing something else. You know, that's just how it is. So, you know, I think the staying motivated, and by the way, just so you know, people say that I work all the time. I don't work all the time. I mostly don't work. And do I get discouraged? I do. And are there times when I feel like, oh, that's probably it? There are. But I know that for me, this is a lifelong, I want to be in the life of being an actor, which includes unemployment, which includes uncertainty, which includes not getting a part you really wanted, and then getting a part you don't know why the hell they picked you. And all of this, as opposed to like feeling like you're waiting to start your career. This is what the career looks like. This is what it is. So, but I strongly suggest quitting the business. Don't tell anybody, but quit the business. See what that looks like in your mind, and see if that's what you want to choose.
Oh my God, it's like renewing your vows in a marriage. I haven't been married for long stretches, but people say that it goes in waves of love and out of love and in love. And that's the nature of love. And that's the nature of a career too. And so when you renew your vows, you get that surge of, of love again, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think we have to remember that we choose this every day, that we choose it. Nobody makes us do it. We knew it was impossible coming in. And so, I mean, again, I really live by low expectations. I really do. And the great part of that is when I get a job, I'm like, you're kidding, really? You know, I'm always surprised.
Amazing. Oh my God, we're getting lots of love here. Hold on, I have to scroll through these messages. Sorry about this. Wow, bless you, Michael. Thank you so much for that. In all caps and big exclamation marks from Natasha. Rob Watts, also just in the daily life of a professional actor, keeping the days focused, but maybe that's too broad. Oh, so Rob's asking how you stay focused with that lifestyle.
I don't have an answer for that, Rob. I don't know. I never feel like a particularly focused individual. I feel more like the ball in the pinball machine that's just getting knocked around. So I don't know if I have any practice to stay focused, but I always find artistic things to do, you know, whether it's teaching a class, writing a book, finding things to do, having a little play reading group. You liked what I said about actor vitamins. You
love that.
And, you know, what I mean when I say that is like to find some way to do our thing that doesn't involve waiting for somebody to hire you. But I don't think I'm very focused. I don't think I have anything to contribute on that.
I love readings as well, because it gives you somewhere to be and it gives you a chance to play and you can, yeah, I love that.
Like an actor again, you know.
Melissa says, yes, exactly. She meant hitting the wall. Both points are correct. Laughing my ass off. I quit so many times. You are so right. So right. Rob Watts says so many awesome mental tips and perspectives. Thank you. Great. Wow. We went over our time.
It's all right. I like to blab, it's all right.
Okay, I just looked up and went, oh my God, we've been talking nonstop. Does anyone else have any last questions for Michael? Check out, you have to check out his talks. They're very, very good. I've watched both of the ones. Hugs and thanks, Michael and Daniela. I will think of you both during the next gig.
Good.
I can't wait till my next gig. Oh my God. Yes. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Well, I mean, listen, I love this. I have to say, talking to actors has become like one of my great, it's like an important part of my career, is just talking to folks. I always say I feel like I'm a little further down the road with a flashlight going, I figured this stuff out. So yeah, it's important.
Everyone's saying thank you so much, Michael. I look forward to your class. I am so excited. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your play, and I will see you in class, I guess.
Yes, and then we'll schedule one to talk about comedy.
Oh my God, I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah,
because my passion is comedy writers. Just comedy writers are my jam. So this is so great talking to a comedic actor. Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.